sometimes you make a dress and you go, I want 100 more. But then you think, ugh, that was a lot of work for all that insertion lace. Let's make something simpler. But then it's like too simple and you're like, I need to jazz it up a little bit. So that's what we're doing. So today we are going to be using the SP21-10 pattern and just zhuzhing it up a little bit with some really fun, fancy fabric and ruffles. The instructions for the ruffles are not included in the pattern. I am also changing the sleeve shape to give me a little bit more of a puff sleeve to help those ruffles stand out a little bit more. Again, really easy changes that I feel like you could make if you want this pattern specifically. Let's get started. I started by laying out some freshly washed but unpressed fabric and laying out my pattern pieces. At this point I had a design idea and fabric that I liked and I thought the two would go together, but I didn't realize exactly how much I would love this dress. This is probably one of my favorite dresses I have ever made and will be in my wardrobe for years to come. This is the shape of the sleeve head included in the pattern. This is the sleeve head that I am doing. That way it'll get gathered and make like a poof sleeve. Out of every scrap that I cut out 4-inch wide strips that'll serve as a ruffle for the yoke. And then I cut 6-inch wide strips for the ruffle at the bottom. Ideally, I would have liked these to be 8 to 10. I just didn't have the fabric for it. If I make this again, I'm gonna make a bigger ruffle hem ruffle. What's that? What is it? Look at all of this ruffle. So this is for the hem, this is for around the yoke. That took so long. It hurt, I hated it. It takes so long, but it looks so good. Anyway, the rest of the dress should go together really nicely. And so let's just put the bodice together, shall we? Prepping the yoke is next, which includes sewing the shoulders together, pinning the ruffle to it, and sewing the ruffle to the yoke. Then it's on to gathering the front and back bodice so we can pin the bodice and the yoke together with a lapped seam. This was a little bit more difficult because of the ruffle, but I just kept maneuvering and pinning and working around it until it eventually worked. Take your time with this step, enjoy the process. Okay, so I have everything pinned on in the lap seam, so I'm going to do my best to stitch in the ditch to get the yoke and the body pieces connected. The next step is to pin and sew on the sleeves. So the last thing I did was sew the skirt together. So now I need to gather the top so we can attach it to the waistband. I should probably put the waistband on the bodice first. Either way, it's going to be a lot of gathering, so that's what we're going to do. I've shown this process of gathering in a few other videos, but I feel like I should explain it. This time I'm using crochet thread instead of yarn because it adds less bulk, but basically you just want to like zigzag over it without catching it, and then you can pull it nicely and it just gathers so beautifully. It's my favorite gathering technique for a reason. After all of the gathers are gathered, you need to sew the skirt to the waistband and the waistband to the bodice if you haven't done that step already, which I already had and didn't explain. Then you are all set to start attaching the ruffle to the hem of the skirt. If you don't like doing this here, you could do it at the end after you have hemmed the skirt. I just wanted the hem of the skirt to be a little bit like shorter than the hem of the ruffle, which is why I did it this way. You also want to leave a little gap at either end of the center back seam so that way you can sew the center back seam and then sew the ruffle over it. This gets us to the finishing work, which of course I didn't film because I don't seem to film finishing work anymore. I promise I'll change it for the next one. Maybe? But the finishing work included putting a zipper in the center back, finishing the center back seam, putting a hem on, putting elastic in the sleeve hem, and then you get this dress, which is just amazing. I have never seen such a historically inspired pattern, which done in the right material could be extremely passable for that time period, to be so modern, trendy. Like, I don't know the word that I'm looking here for, but it's something else, and I'm kind of obsessed. I really like it. I think I need more dresses in horrible, bright patterned fabric that ends up being fabulous. If you would like to buy this pattern that I used to base this dress off of, it will be available in my pattern shop on July 5th, 2021 with the rest of the summer pattern line. So excited! A link to the pattern shop is in the description. So I think that is all I have for you guys today. Have a great day. I will see you guys next week for a new video and live on Thursday. Bye, friends!